your computer program in school that you're being taught would be hard skills. And then you have the soft skills. So the soft skills would be, how do you communicate? Are you flexible? How do you, can you manage working in a team? Can you lead a team? Are you a leader? Are you a follower? And also about time management. So these are soft skills, or anything that we normally have within us, or our parents have taught us, or we picked up along the way. Now, I want also to remind you guys that soft skills, even if you don't have some of the soft skills, these can be learned as well, and you can acquire them. And so I wanted to kind of today give an example of soft skills. So say you're a fresh graduate, you want to showcase on your CV some of your soft skills part of things, or you're kind of thinking, how do I portray this? These would be anything that you've worked on a project. Say you work as a team when you were in college, and what part of the job of this particular project that you actually was your task to do. And when you delved into it, you will see that you've actually showed teamwork, and you've showed leadership and other things like that. Sorry, Isabella, I think you've moved to the next slide there. Isabella.
Thanks for making me aware. I'm sorry for all the technical issues.
That's okay.
I will be back to the slide before in a second. Please bear with me a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, are you in presentation mode?
So Dina.
Yeah.
Some of your candidates were able. Yeah, exactly.
You're breaking up a little bit, but just on this. If anyone can hear me on this, what I wanted to talk about on this soft skills part is, sometimes how do I show this to my clients for particular candidates that I'm working with? Would be, I'll give you an example. And in one on one particular occasion, it was the person was a fresher, was a new graduate. And we wouldn't really have a lot to kind of showcase in terms of experience, but to show that they are able to work as a team and very calm and also work timely with everyone, be able to take lead. I'm going to give you an example of one particular case where that person actually was volunteering as a mountain rescue, and as you can imagine, to be a mountain rescue, you have to be calm, and you have to be able to take instruction, taking risk. You will be if you're in a lead, or if you're leading a team, all this come into play. So for someone to be a mountain rescue and taking risk and risking their lives and also going to rescue individuals, and this show a lot of resilience. And I was able to actually this particular client that this person was very suited to what they're looking for, based only on not only on what his technical skills were, what he studied in college or what certificate he had, but also on his spare time, what else does he do? So that's one particular area that you can showcase, in terms of soft skills. Sorry. Isabella, can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you.
I will try my best.
Okay, so on this slide, I'm going to talk to you about understanding the first steps into cybersecurity learning. If this is something that is of interest to you, and how do you start? So the first thing I would actually ask you to do is to explore the industry and to understand what the industry is all about. It can get overwhelming because it's quite a vast sector. So just going to explore a little bit about the different segments within cybersecurity that is involved. So whether it's are you responding offensive, and all these kind of things. So understand a little bit what it is, what it's all about. And once you gather all the information, you will actually see yourself that there are things when you're exploring that you will already know that this is of interest to you. For example, for me, what is of interest to me is I like anything to do with cybersecurity awareness, and I love reading about it, and I like talking about it and give my opinion, and also talk to different people who are not from a cybersecurity background to kind of help them and make them more aware of the threats that are out there. So this is something that for me is of interest, so I love it. So while you're exploring, you will see different areas that you are interested in, whether it's hacking that you like, whether it's software sites, secure coding that you like. Are you more interested in information security? Are you interested in compliance and risk? This is what you like. And by researching, you would already kind of move into the kind of overview of what you like. And then the next thing is like understand your own skills. Like Ivo mentioned earlier that a lot of the individuals already have skill set that they can actually bring to the table within the role. So it's understand your own skills. What do you have already that you can make the most of? And that's very important. So you would know, if you're a fresher, you would know what type of projects you worked on and what did you like. Are you more analytical person? Are you more a developer? Are you like testing things? You like, you're very curious. So all these are all very important skills to actually identify. So once you know a little bit about the industry, once you know what you have, now the next thing is find a mentor. So find someone who can actually guide you, who's already been there. Say if you want to be a hacker, an ethical hacker, you will go and find someone that can help you break into and become an ethical hacker. So you'll find someone on LinkedIn, industry experts. You have to be very curious, and you have to do research. And research as well, what I mentioned earlier about exploring the industry, is to join groups. There's one on Facebook that you can join. It's breaking into cybersecurity or InfoSec. So kind of look into your own area, into the country that you're in, and start out, joining these groups on Facebook, Twitter, have them as well, read blogs, and what you will find as well, that people within the industry like helping others, and they will have no problem to actually guide you. And I know even on Skills Build, there's a mentoring. You can actually find a mentor if you are looking for one to actually guide you in into the path that you want to take. And so that's about mentoring. And so I'm going to kind of quickly give you why mentoring is very important. for you to get one is, I had a mentor about 20 years ago, and I was working for a software company, and that person actually kind of redefined the way my outlook, how I see things. So for me, how I interact with people and my way of thinking. When I look at my mentor, the person who I consider my mentor, who helped me and guided me, it's like, how do I manage people, and how do I create a safe and really nice environment for people who actually are my team members, who actually work with me. So for me, that's a mentor that kind of guided me in a place where I'm happy to refer that person, because they have a very good and positive, positive aspect of things on my life and my career. So like that, that's why it's very important to find a mentor. And the next thing that you should doing as well when you start, you set on your journey is, so first thing, you already explore, so you already have an idea what you really like, you already understand the skills you already have, and you have a mentor who actually guided you, gave you tips of how do you start, where do you go. Then the next step is to find introduction courses that actually can help you. So Skillsbit have one, which is the introduction to the fundamentals of cybersecurity, and it also already have a guide there at the path, if this is what you want to do, how do you go about it. So like that, there's not only a Skillsbit, if you do a little bit of research, you will see others. Cybrary have some, Open University have others. There's a lot of introduction courses out there. But I will ask you to actually do your research and make sure that you're picking the right one, and that's giving you the right information. And then in that path, it will tell you already, what are the certificates you need to acquire. So it depends on where your interest lies. And maybe if you were going for network engineer or network security, you'd have to have the Linux, the CompTIA, and all this other certificates that goes with it. So one thing, there's no one defined path for a successful career in cybersecurity, and Ivo later will discuss this. Some people, straight out college, others would upskill, reskill, or maybe move from an IT role to a different, or even a different, completely different industry altogether. At the moment, I'm running an upskilling program for migrant women, and some of the women on my program would have come from food safety, for example, or they've come from a civil engineer background. But still, they start from the beginning. They're starting from the foundation. And we already know what skills they have, and I was able to actually guide them and into the path. So Isabella, can you move to the next, please? Next slide. Thank you.
Yes. And while I'm going to go to solve my technical issues one more time, can you maybe start with what employers are looking for in cybersecurity professionals? What are the things people would need to know?
Okay, what my clients come to me and they're looking for, most of the time, it's not if the technical skills are given if it's a technical role, okay? But the other things that they're looking for is how do they adapt to the team and the culture. So one thing, and how are they going to progress within the company. So the first one, what I'm always being asked is they have to have the ability to learn, and they have to be eager to develop their skills, because like you probably know that cybersecurity industry keep on changing, and there's new things every day, and the technology is changing. So you need the person will require to constantly keep moving with technology. So they have to be eager and happy to self-develop themselves and are able to start the course, but not only to study, not only to learn, but also apply what they've actually learned and apply the skills as well. So that's one thing that keep coming up over and over. And the next second one that's actually very important as well is actually how did they actually work within a team, and are they a person who only likes working with on their own solo and can't interact with others? That probably won't go down very well, because you have to be kind of be able, as well as working on your own, you should be able to work in a team as well. And also another thing is, as well as part of that, is how do you interact, how do you communicate, are you communicate clearly, and if you have any issues, are you able to actually discuss those? How do you take criticism? And that's one thing that's keep coming as well. And all of these points, when I'm interviewing a candidate to put them forward to the company that I work with, I will already be analyzing these things. So I'll be asking you these different questions. Tell me a time you're working in a team and how did you approach it. I'll give you different scenarios and things like that. And another one as well is the ability to work under pressure. As you probably know, it's a heavily pressured environment. So how would you manage working under pressure? So working under pressure for different individuals are different. So we have each company, we kind of define, and each individual we define their own way of managing working under pressure. But one thing is be able to work under pressure, but able to function properly and calmly. So if you have an issue, and if there's a breach or anything like that, so you're able to function and make clear, decide and make decision, but safe decision, and also you're calm, and you're not just leaving your desk and put your hand in your head and you're running and you can't do anything. So that's one ability that they're looking for, is like able to give the 100% in when there's a pressured environment, and also work calmly and be able to come up with whatever decisions they're making is clearly, come up with new ideas and how to go about whatever the issues and find a solution for the problem. And then the ability also, the next one is how you can, if you'd be able to gain all these, develop all of these qualities as well on skills built, so you'd be able to learn all the things. Actually, you have their courses that you can actually learn how to do this. And certification is important. I'm just checking my time here. So certification is, like I said, you have other certifications like the CompTIA and your Security Plus. All these certifications are your Linux, Red Hat Linux, that you will have to do, and this is part of your learning journey. And also, employers look for those certifications more so than your actual. Sometimes in some scenarios is they look at what you've done on your own. Okay, so that's a little bit about from my end what companies are looking for. So I'm going to leave you with Ivor, who actually tells you from his point of view what are the requirements and the qualities that employers are looking for. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much for that. And as Isabella's getting the slides up, actually, my first point reinforces what Dean was just saying, in that what employers are looking for, first and foremost, is the ability for somebody to learn and adapt. And part of that is having a good mental attitude to learning. And a lot of people have that desire to learn. And that's quite important. Lots of these skills particularly in this area where there's a skills shortage, employers are willing to teach you if you're willing to learn. And the difference there will be the kind of skills and background you've got, demonstrating a pathway where you have shown that you've learned from other things. In my case, for example, in the armed forces, you have a progression of trade skills that you go through. You can demonstrate learning that. But of course, the other thing that Dina was just talking about with badges and certification, you can demonstrate your learning through that and that desire to learn. Being able to adapt is very important, because of course you're entering an industry, IT as a whole, which is dynamic and moving very, very fast. So that ability to move with it is extremely important. What I differentiate is for cybersecurity is an innate, or that ability to be curious. If you're, for example, looking to be an incident responder or an analyst, your job description may be a bare minimum saying, look, I did a port scan of a server where we suspect there might be a virus on. And you can turn around, yeah, I did a port scan, found nothing. So what does that mean? If we detected something, why was that detected? Where is it? I'll keep asking those questions, because as soon as you've done through that cycle of who, what, where, when, why, how's it happened, something else has cropped up, and you've got to keep on asking those questions. Being innately curious and looking for a solution is really important. And finally, I've put down here, be able to communicate complexity with clarity. I think if anybody out there has got any kind of like an engineering background, I don't, but if you're trying to explain to somebody who's got no engineering background, they're just scratching their heads. And a lot of the time, we're dealing with people in client organisations where they just want the bottom line. They don't really understand what you're trying to say. They don't have much time. They honestly don't want any big, deep explanation of it. They just want the bottom line. And to be able to explain something that's very, very complex in a clear, concise, and quick way is a good way of going about things. Next slide, please, Isabella. But what's that? I see there's a few fellow veterans out there, a few from the Indian forces, Namaste. So going into how I now got into the industry, which I think is what's coming next, is again reinforcing what Dina was saying in the big picture. I'll relate that now to my journey. When I left the forces, I thought, okay, I'm out. Here I am, world. Great. And my very first job interview was for an insider threat job. And of course, as if you may recall from the beginning, I was talking about being in a physical and personnel security kind of area. And that was right up my street. Only thing was, they were looking for somebody who was cybersecurity insider threat manager. And an industry now doesn't seem to differentiate between the other strands of domains of security and cybersecurity. And this is where it really hit me between the eyes that I needed to learn this. I couldn't push it away any longer. I needed to understand, how it fit into the overall holistic view of security that any organisation faces. Now, quite specifically, a lot more about cybersecurity in a functional way. And the first decision I had to make there was, do I now try and go for certification and then try and bluff my case? Or do I find a route to certification and somebody who will take me on? The first thing I had to understand is what skills I brought to the party in the first instance. So I knew what strengths I had, and I'm quite clear in my own mind about the weaknesses I had. And I then looked to find an introductory course. I also looked to find a mentor. Now, happily, in the UK, there are a lot of organisations, particularly for veterans, and I'm speaking from a veteran's point of view, But believe you me, I know I might digress here a little bit on a sidetrack, but this is not solely about veterans. Anybody who is looking at a career change, or is in midlife, or is returning back to the workplace after being a carer of children or elderly relatives, whatever reason that you're coming back into the workforce, it readily applies. It just so happens I came in as a veteran. There were veterans programs in the UK that are the same, but there are also really good social enterprises like Dina's, for example, and others, and programs that IBM run, like Skills Build. I ended up on a program called Salute My Job, which again was being sponsored by IBM, and they taught me about QRadar. It was one of the questions in my interview. They said, "Do you know QRadar?" I had looked it up on Wikipedia just beforehand to be sure. So I didn't look completely stupid, but I looked stupid enough. So obviously I didn't get that job. Obviously I needed to learn, and that course really not just gave me an insight into a particular platform, which is a security incident event management tool. It gave me a pathway to say, right, I know now where I think I want to go and how I want to pursue that. Within the opportunity that was given to me by Salute My Job, I met other IBMers, and they helped by introducing me into the company, explaining where perhaps I could fit in, and they got me to the door. Other than that, I had to pass the interviews myself, obviously, but through that entire journey, I knew now exactly what I wanted to do, what I had, what I still needed to get, and whether or not IBM were willing to take a risk on me to take me further on that journey. And luckily that worked out for the both of us. In my first year within IBM, I felt I really had to show them the value I added to the business. And again, that's the kind of mindset I think anybody should have when they're starting with a new employer. And thereafter, consolidating that learning. So here I now sit, 2 years in IBM nearly, a certified information security manager through Ithaca, and I'm in a very, very good place, and I know where I want to go on to do from here. So that was my journey in there, and the numbers of certifications out there, and I think there are organisations that do this, and of course global companies. This really program that IBM is part of is again a global venture. Do look for that, something that's backed by somebody that has a quality name to them, because there are also people who are quite willing to take your money and give you a certificate that's worthless. So you do have to do your research. So cybersecurity professionals, who are they? The next thing that's coming up here is actually what a list, and you've got to kind of understand as you're starting out in the business where you think your talents will lie and what you want to do best. I was quite fortunate in that I could pursue an avenue that suited me and that had ready availability where I lived. I think perhaps sometimes it might be different if you have limited choice or availability of things. But this business is vast. Security consultants, I'm a security consultant. I also describe myself as an information security manager. I could also describe myself as a governance regulatory compliance specialist. All different things, all different titles meaning really the same kind of thing. And consultants are at that sort of managerial, corporate governance, risk management end of business, generally. Security engineers are much more technical, and a security engineer will be looking directly into platforms and tools, whereas, for example, security analysts are people who will perhaps are assessing information in order to find out the so what, in the who, what, where, when, why scenario. Incident responders and SOC analysts Now, that is a huge part of the industry, and that kind of qualification exists in its own right, but there are also various platforms. So, I mean, I mentioned QRadar. I'm not getting paid by it, I'm going to say it as many times as I can in a webinar. There are others out there, Splunk, things like that. Getting to know the kinds of event tools that help to show, to look at traffic flows, for example. And if you are calm under pressure, if you like something different, if you like looking for patterns, or something that breaks a pattern more to the point, then, for example, incident response SOC analysis is perhaps for you. Also, for example, if you are technically minded, then security engineering, penetration testing, again, those kinds of areas are for you. And it's knowing that is more important, and that is it, target from where your background is. If we can go to the next slide, please. So this is what I was asked to perhaps go through, a day in the life of. I'm quite fortunate in that I, as a consultant, sit across a number of different projects. So, generically speaking, I do the information and security risk management for a number of different clients at various stages. On one, for example, large program, I'm a consultant for one of many. On another program, I'm the information security manager for IBM on that program and have a more senior role within it. And I get to work with IBM colleagues across the board. So within our company, we do have, for example, a SOC that works for clients next door. They work with the same clients in some instances that I do, and I get to work with them very closely. So for me, one of the enjoyments I get is not just finding a secure solution for a problem. It's when things go wrong. For example, the Security Operations Center, the SOC, has detected a flow that isn't right, or an offence has been generated, which means there's something out of the ordinary within the client's traffic flow. Then that gets reported through to me, and then we investigate it jointly together, and I then work as that bridge between them and the client to a great extent. So no 2 days are the same, and that, I think, is that I enjoy that. At times it can be really, really busy and being calm under pressure, particularly if there is a big problem. And I work for clients. If they see me panicking, they're going to be panicking. So it is all about being calm, understanding what's going on, and being able to relate something that might be very complex to the client very clearly and say, something's happened. It is either a problem or it's no longer a problem. This is what's happened. This is what you need to do. And that's it. You might have a lot of things going on in your head, but you just have to be clear and concise and say, and show confidence, view confidence that, okay, this is, we can handle this, and we are handling this. It is not a problem. And taking it further from there. In amongst that, you've got to be able to work with teams which are multidisciplinary, and in that, I might be working with software developers, or I might be working with network engineers, and again, they're trying to explain things to me. They're quite happy for me to sit back and say, because I'm not technical, as I said, they're quite happy for me to sit back and say, I don't understand. Can you go through that slowly, or can you explain that to me? At which point, they'll stop using jargon, and we'll sit down and go, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Because 9 times out of 10, as Isabel and Dean have already said, people in this industry are there and willing to help. People like to share, and also people would rather you ask. So you build up good working relationships by saying, okay, you've reached the limit of my technical knowledge, explain from here, and they're quite happy to do so. Going on from that then is the ability to, for you, not just for you to communicate, but really for you to ask questions now, because as you see in the bottom of right as I'm looking at it, documenting. In order to document, you've now got to show that you know the network or the system quite precisely. So what you've got to be able to do is to go back to the technical experts and ask them questions. So you say that goes from A to C via B and B1, B2, A, B, and all of a sudden you want them to explain how that network goes. So don't be afraid of that, and you've got to map that out, and that's quite good. So one of the most interesting challenges I had. So IBM is an innovator. Again, they're not pretending to say this. I'm quite happy to say, hey, IBM is an innovator. But I got put onto a project where it was a prototype that was absolutely new, and they needed somebody to just go, right, we need a bit of documentation that assures this prototype. So they explained to me what it was. It was actually quite simple, but of course it evolved over a year. And in that, you had to work with the teams. If you know Agile or Scrum, we work in Agile, and looking at the next sprints ahead, trying to keep ahead of its development, so that every time it reached its milestone, the security wrap around it was on point and ready to go to the next iteration. And that was an exciting challenge. So it was great. Now, we are nearly at 1350. I think, is there one more slide, Isabella?
So, thank you very much, Ivor, and also Dina, for the wonderful insights and very valuable insights you gave to us. And I think we have some minutes to answer some questions in the chats, and one of the questions coming up most often was definitely on certifications. So what would you say, then maybe also Ivor, how important are certifications? Are there any you would want to recommend especially, or something like this?
I think certifications are very important, but what I would actually advise is to decide what area do you want to get certified into. So, like I mentioned earlier, if you were going into networking, or if you were going to incident response and SOC as a SOC, so each kind of role has different certifications that are important. So to make sure that you're actually getting the right, so like the right certification, like Ivor mentioned, the curator is very important. The IBM one, a lot of companies actually use it. Actually, one advice I can recommend as well is take a look at the different job specs that are being advertised by companies, and you will see on it what certification are they looking for. And based on that, then you can pursue those studies and certification for you to have. A lot of the job spec already list from companies already list what certification you need to have. So go with that. If you, like I said, depending what you want to be, then you pick those certifications for you to study and acquire. What do you think, Ivor? In your opinion?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If you're looking at job specs, look at the job specs done by technology companies. So see what IBM does, Microsoft, anybody like that, because they know what they're talking about. There are times when companies who are looking for SOC analysts, for example, they might be logistics companies or banks tend to not do it. Sometimes major companies don't exactly know what they're asking for. So do go to a technology company who do know what they're looking for and will tell you. Of the ones that I think are good, I'm trying to think more internationally now. If you look at ISC 2, so ISC little 2, Osaka, CompTIA Plus, be that network or security, those kinds of things are really good. There are a couple of others that are sitting in the back of my head, and I can't quite remember them at the minute. But if you're doing the research right, you will see that the status and the level that they're at, the kind of comments that people are making about them as well. There are forums out there of people in the same situation as you who are going down the path and they say, hey, I did this and it was really good, or I did this, it was really expensive, but it did this for me, or don't bother with this one. So have a look, see if you can find those forums as well of people within the industry. But do your research online.
And also that's where your mentor comes into play, because they'll be able to guide you to what certification you need to get, what's the important one at this stage. You don't want to be going and doing all sorts of certification at the start of your career. So you'll have to pick the ones that get your foot in the door. And then as you evolve, you're gonna acquire all the other, depending on the level where you're at, the more advanced one. I think that's the way to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for asking this question. Another one was if you could give some additional tips on websites with cybersecurity learning content available.
Do you want to take that one, Ivor?
Yeah, I'm trying to think now, actually. Most of the sites that I come across, now I'm going to speak from the UK perspective, in that there were organisations called, for example, there's one called TechVets, that are specifically geared for veterans. And actually that's really the bulk of my experience on that one. Most of the other sites that I've come across that give learning don't do it for free. They'll give you a little taster. So and sometimes that's not always the best value for money. Dina mentioned earlier on, I think, about the Open University in the UK. They offer a short course by distance learning.
They do, yeah.
I think it's free.
Yeah, sorry to cut you up there, Ivor. There's, I think they're called, the name always run away from me, but there's there's a platform there that they give you short courses for free. And so that could be an introduction. And to the typical, whatever introduction that you're going for. There was one was from Open University, which was an introduction to cybersecurity or introduction to network engineering and things like that. So you do it for a number of weeks. I think they were like 16 weeks. And then if you want to get, of course, the certificate after you completed it, or if you can use this to go further into your studies, you can actually access this credits. I can't remember the platform now, but there's a few different platforms out there that you can actually you can start with. But I would say as well is to do your research, talk to the people within the industry, because they will be the best people to guide you where to start with. Because remember, at one stage they themselves started at an entry point as well.
Actually, this brings me to one last question. Especially to Ivor. The question is, what was the first step you took while moving to become a consultant? Also, how to make the switch to consultant in the field of cybersecurity?
Okay, so I was kind of lucky. So because cybersecurity is also security, there are overriding principles within security that are common across all the domains. And I'd spent 30 years in that side of the business. Cybersecurity developed really quite separately from the other domains within security, to the point, and also they use a similar terminology or the same terminology to mean different things. But I had enough of a background to know some of the principles, particularly for security risk management. So what I had to learn was really the technical space, and for me, it was an easier journey because I understood security and risk management, and I was qualified in security and risk management, but not in IT, and not in cybersecurity. But I had enough of a grounding there that enabled me to be a consultant. It was a knowledge gap that I was missing, and IBM really starts me off small. I have a really good mentor within the company, and also colleagues, lots of colleagues who are more senior to me and have got more experience than me, very specifically with cybersecurity, that are there to give me support, and that was key. So I had a certain amount of credibility, but they allowed me to grow my credibility to the point where I became of more value as my first year progressed, and that was lucky. Again, it was that adding value in the first year to the business and earning money for the business, whilst I was still able to learn. And yeah, I can only say I was very lucky.
Okay, great, wonderful. So I know there are more questions coming up. I'm sorry we are running out of time now. So I would like to really thank you, Dina and Ivor, for this very, very interesting session with you. And also I want to thank you, our participants, for joining us. If you want to hear more on job search or business recovery from our experts, or if you want to listen to the replay of this webinar, then please check out skillsbuild.org/ignite and skillsbuild.org/ignite/events. So thank you for being with us, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.